GM, everyone, and welcome to another episode of FOMO Hour. Today is Tuesday, October 21st, 2025. Folks, markets may be chopping and bleeding, but for the first time in what seems like a long time, we have some hope. Real hope. Kobe coming out of retirement. Up only is coming back, and up only season might be around the corner. We're going to talk about what all that means on today's show. No Farouk, no Mano, neither of them can make it here today, but we got Logan in the house. Back off the bench, Logie, GM. How you doing?
Hey, good morning, Tyler. Doing well. A little coincidence. Up only returns, Logie returns. Doing pretty well. Nothing to complain about. I'm in a different spot, it feels like, almost every time we're on the show together. So tuning in, or I guess chiming in from North Carolina today.
I don't know if we've chatted since our beloved Cubbies left.
We haven't.
How did you feel when it all went down?
Of course, bummed. Bummed. No other way to say it. But still wearing a hat only because I can't find any of the others that I have laying around here.
I think we can take solace in the fact that we probably would have lost to the Dodgers. Although it would have been fun to see Ohtani's greatness at Wrigley.
Yeah, we may have put up more of a fight. And it's nice to see the Brewers lose. I know everybody's rooting against the Dodgers because of the super team stuff. But as a Cubs fan, which is, seeing this blossoming Brewers rivalry in the last decade or so, it was really great to see them lose. Yeah.
Well, better luck next year. We've got NBA kicking off today, I believe. So the Bulls are back, the literal Bulls. And the Bears are actually looking good here. Take away their last second Q4 loss in game one, and they'd be 5-1. So some hope in Chicago sports. Folks, what are we talking about on today's show? We're going to start with the market report. It looks like stocks are a little bit red. Crypto majors are deeper red. Gold even red here today. Galaxy looks like they just smashed earnings. That stock is pumping. Big news on everyone's mind. Coinbase, $375 million acquisition of Kobe's Echo, plus the up-only NFT, which now means the up-only show is coming back. A lot to talk about there. We'll talk a little bit about the debt trade. Is it dead? NFT strategy tokens falling. Some meme news. Tibber. Everyone's asking what the hell Tibber is. Well, it's at all-time high. That's what it is. We might talk about that at the end of today's show. Maybe get Logan's thoughts on a few of the upcoming airdrops. Mega ETH, OpenSea, Meteora, and more. Before we dive in, quick shout out to our partner Wallet Connect. Wallet Connect powers billions in volume monthly across wallets, apps, users, and institutions. That blue logo, it's everywhere. An icon of trust in crypto, as recognizable as Visa at the checkout. If you want to learn more, follow at Wallet Connect on X and Telegram to stay ahead of what's next. All right. Well, let's just get right into it. And I will do my Mando impression here today and walk us through the market report. I'm going to do the screen share here for those who are in the stream. We are streaming live on X and Kick. Bitcoin, let's take a look at the crypto majors board. We are red here this morning. Bitcoin down 2%, 109. So up above where it was. I think we were in the 107s briefly this morning when I woke up. So that wasn't great. Rebounding from that, ETH down 3.5%, 38.87. BNB down 3%, 1,076. Solana down 3%, 186. So basically, it kind of feels like all the gains we got Sunday night and Monday, we just kind of gave back. So not great, but also not totally unexpected, I think, for where we're at here in October. Taking a look at stocks and the rest of the market, stocks are kind of like they're slightly down. Like NASDAQ is red, it looks like. The Dow is Dow's up. So stocks are pretty much even. So crypto is lagging a bit here. It does look like gold is down 4%. Wow, that's the biggest sell-off I think we've seen in gold in some time. So perhaps some signs that gold may have local topped, which we think typically historically is good for Bitcoin. So we'll talk about that here in a bit. I think the biggest market news this morning was really out of Galaxy. So a crypto stock. Now they're also getting into the data center play. They beat earnings per share by 260%. They beat revenue by 90%. I saw a nice detailed write-up here from Duncan. If you're into Galaxy stock or crypto stocks in general, give Duncan at Flood Capital a follow. He is the Galaxy guy, and he follows it very closely. So this is their best quarter in history. 500 million net income, 728 adjusted gross profit, huge EBITDA. They pointed to strengthen their digital asset business, record trading volumes, 1.9 billion on their balance sheet, data centers, 800 megawatts committed, phase one, $1.4 billion project financing secured. Yeah, just overall a really nice update here from their earnings, and the market liked it. Yeah, so Galaxy stock up 10% here today, now at 17 billion. So it added 1.7 billion or so in market cap here this morning. Logie, have you been playing any crypto stocks this year? Where a lot of the action has been.
Yeah, no, I think we count Robinhood at this point, right?
Sure.
So yes, but basically only Robinhood. I've been in and out of Coinbase, historically. I don't hold any or own any right now, and none of the others. I played in some of the silliness at the beginning of the DAT trade, of course, and maybe remember that Liquor House token as well. RIP Liquor House. But no, actually, I haven't. I've been following this sort of loosely, basically just from your reporting, Tyler, the Galaxy stuff for the last couple of months. It feels like, for me, this is one that I don't know. I think at least from my perspective, wasn't necessarily even considered a crypto stock, or at least I wouldn't have put it in the same basket maybe a couple months ago. But it does feel like, even just kind of a cursory glance through that report there from Duncan, like a way to kind of be like an everything crypto picks and shovels play, like if you were looking to get into it, without like a super dependence on one aspect of crypto, like not necessarily specifically mining or specifically trading volumes or whatever. It seems like you're getting kind of a broad spread and optionality on crypto growth, digital asset growth in particular, which is appealing in my opinion.
It is. So there's been historically a handful of crypto index plays, right, in the stock market. Coinbase probably been the number one. Coinbase at 86 billion. So Galaxy you could get for 1/5 the price. And yeah, nice year. It's up 133% on the year.
Sorry, Tyler. I was just gonna say, I was looking at the Coinbase actually before we hopped on the show. Just curious what this morning's news had done. Of course, down a little bit. Nothing I don't think to really write home about, but yeah, still up 32%. I mean, some of these gains year to date, and even I think if you go to the year, it might be like closer to 100% or something. Oh no, sorry, I might have been looking at something else. But nevertheless, I mean, the gains on some of these, as you've mentioned, I mean, I feel like they've gotten lost. We're so focused, of course, on the actual assets themselves, but some of these, actually most of these stocks in legitimate crypto businesses have done quite well. Like, you can't really scoff at a year performance of, I think the year to date was 32%. This is up 60% in the last year.
Mm-hmm.
Those are great returns. I know we're accustomed to wishing for 200, 300,000% with the meme coins and stuff that we're playing with, but for the big boys with the real money and the real markets, these are fantastic gains.
Yeah, so Coinbase is up in line with Bitcoin on the 1 year. They're both up 60%, but on year to date, it's up about 2x. So Coinbase stock has outperformed Bitcoin, which I would not have guessed headed into this year. And we'll talk about the big news for Coinbase here in a bit. What I like about Galaxy specifically is that data center play. And I think we're seeing that aspect of the Bitcoin mining players stock surge here this year, is that they've got multiple utilities now. And yeah, they can mine Bitcoin. They can also build out this data center infrastructure, which is huge for the ongoing AI trade. So I'm very interested in that sector. I've been making a few plays. I picked up iron maybe a month or so ago. This thing's just absolute rocket ship. It's up 440% year to date. Since I bought it like 6 weeks ago, it's up like 100% or something. So, and there's many such cases. And I don't even have a huge bag of this, but it's worth looking at. And historically, it made more sense to focus on crypto alts, but that's not the case. Alt season truly is in these stocks, folks. Like, that is just the reality. But Logan, we haven't really chatted in a while. We've got fear and greed at 33. We haven't talked since the 10-10 liquidation crash. Like, what's your read on sentiment out there? 33 in line with what you're seeing? Is it even higher, perhaps?
Yeah, actually, I think it's higher than it should be. It feels more fearful to me still, at least on my timeline. I don't know. Apathetic is probably a word you could use to describe my timeline right now. It's all over, whatever. It's been all of that in the last week. I mean, it's only been 11 days, I guess, since that Friday, which I was happily tuned out for, which was really nice to not have to deal with that. I think, apathetic. I think that's maybe the best way to characterize it right now. People just, I don't know, like, are expecting some absurd move in either direction, and it's probably going to be just a little bit more chop until we get that. And I really do think, all those calls, a lot of calls for the sideline pain rally type stuff, do really feel like it's probably going to happen. I've been looking at just, like, have you seen some of these polls that have been run? I can't remember any of the specific ones, but about, like, how much people own of Bitcoin, things like that. They're just,
generally
they're ridiculous. And it does feel like we're due for one of those moves up where everybody's going to be looking back on those tweets about, you're underexposed to the industry you log into every single day, et cetera, all those, historic, great tweets that people love to use when dunking. I think that's what we're in for, but I'm expecting a little bit more chop here. I do think the lingering effects, I'm not the smartest guy in the room to talk about the second order effects from that crash. But I do think it is something that takes a little bit to unwind. A lot happened there. So I'm not expecting an immediate jump up or down.
It makes sense. A couple thoughts here, and I've got a tweet up. I'll get to that in a second. But since you brought up the concept of folks holding Bitcoin, but like Kobe said it himself, right? So, like, in his tweet that's gone viral about how he's not a billionaire, now he might actually be one. I'm quoting, I joined crypto with $200. If I held my initial Bitcoin since then and never traded, I would have 300K. So the reality is, like, if you start with a smaller stack, you have to trade alts, right? You are never going to run up some massive Bitcoin portfolio simply by just, you can DCA your paychecks and then you can do well, right? But if your goal is to build wealth, like, the reality is you do have to trade downstream in some of this. But then, of course, the downside is, if you don't make it, if you make poor trading decisions, if your alts are down at levels below FTX like they are right now, then you have less Bitcoin than perhaps you would have. So it is a tricky situation. And that is why sentiment is so bad. Another reason, I've got this tweet up here from Cav, and I'll read it now. Bitcoin currently in the longest ever stretch without a 25% upside move within a rolling 2-week period. The last time we went this long was January 2023 lows. No wonder sentiment is in the mud.
Yeah. This is the one. Sorry, Tyler.
Yeah.
This is the thing to me that is, I think, most dampening the timeline. So accustomed to violent moves.
Mm-hmm.
And I hate to be the cliche, this time is different guy, but the market is different. There's just like the makeup of players is different than it was. Right? Like, the institutional money, the institutional players here, the sophisticated, hedge fund, whatever, like, we're not, I don't know, we're in a different ball game. Like, we moved up from AAA to the big leagues, and things are a little bit different here. That's not to suggest that we'll never get a 25% upside move again. Like, I think if you saw, whatever, the US is buying a bajillion Bitcoin, maybe you get that candle, but it's tough to do that. And there's so much more playing right now. So I definitely think that violent upside stuff, that's what lulls people into apathy. That's the chop, the gradual gains. Nobody's here, or at least historically, nobody has been here for that. Right. And I think that's that's definitely weighing people down. And it can make it feel really, really boring. But I think there's some stuff on chain Right now, it doesn't feel that bad on chain. I don't think it's felt much worse before, at least in my opinion.
Oh, interesting. I shared yesterday how you can make a case that on chain's been in a bear market since January. Now, I will agree with you that like we were around and writing daily articles for Lucky Trader during like the Pico 2023 bear.
2023 summer, that was rough.
There were days where I couldn't find one story for a featured newsletter write up, like not a single story. And like to give you some perspective, like on any given day this past summer, I'd say there was 5 to 10 different unique stories that I could have written a feature about. And in that summer, there was nothing. So it's definitely better than that. I want to talk about some hopium. I saw this tweet from Zero Hedge, which I thought was interesting. This is a little bit more stocks, but likely has some trickle over here to crypto. It says the year-end chase has begun in a couple charts. So the historical performance of the S&P since 1928, it looks like up early October, down, and then up in late October. But this one is more interesting. So SPX flow of funds, H2 of the traditional year over the last basically century. The biggest gains are from late October to December, November and December every year. It seems like is where the real action happens. So a little bit of hopium here. And of course, it doesn't mean this year will play out exactly the same way, but I do feel like we're positioned for it. Mando has shared his thoughts on the Santa Claus rally, and we gotta shake out the 4-year cycle, folks. There's clearly lots of them, and they're selling. But if we get past that and get to a new all-time high, that's when I think it really gets it gets interesting. I saw that Citi put a buy on MicroStrategy stock at a 485 price target. Thought that was fairly interesting. MicroStrategy has been lagging here the last few months, pretty rough. So it's at 300, so it's up a bit on that news. It's even on the year. So Bitcoin's up 12-15% on the year. MicroStrategy is red, so you don't love to see that. But 485, that's a 60% move. So they're clearly bulled up. A little bit of hopium there. How are you thinking about Q4? Like, what is your base case for crypto specifically?
Yeah, I still feel fine. I know that seems ridiculous, but I think about the flush we just had. It was a slew of like not super great headlines. Like most of the really volatile headlines of late have been, at least in my opinion, over-indexed to negativity. I would say anyway, and we stayed above. What was the lowest we got? 103.5 or something like that.
Friday 103.5.
I mean, if that feels strong to me. I know I've been around a while, so perhaps newer entrants, which I'm not sure how many of them there are at this point, but like newer entrants may be scarred by the price of Bitcoin being $103,000, but just chilling above 100K on the back of some of that really ugliness. On the back of Red September, like all these historical things that perhaps spell doom for Bitcoin, I feel totally fine. And I still feel like we end the year. I definitely feel like we end the year higher than we are right now. That's for sure. Did we unwind some of our potential at getting to 150, 160K, given all the stuff that transpired in the last week and a half? Maybe, but I'm feeling totally fine, Tyler. Like totally fine. I think things get trickier. Like once you slip that, I don't know. For me, that psychological barrier is still 100,000. Would be like losing that would be and I'm not a TA guy or anything, so I don't know where the lines are. I can't speak to what the level is. Where I don't even know where support is or anything like that. But just from a purely psychological perspective, losing 100,000 would feel not super great. And we stayed it doesn't sound like comfortably above, but in my opinion, comfortably above that, and currently definitely comfortably above that. And that's kind of the marker that I'm using right now as a feeling good point.
Agree. If we look back on this and 103.5 was the low, I think you feel really good about that. And the foundation for the Q4 potential leg up is clearly there, and it's the highest foundation we've had because the tariff sell-off went to 78, right? So significantly lower. It looks like we just moved up in the last hour. So an interesting candle there, though. It looks like it might be reversing here a bit. The last piece of macro news, and then we'll go down the list a bit. BlackRock drawing Bitcoin whales into Wall Street. So it looks like they're finally starting to see some big Bitcoin holders shift their funds into Wall Street ETFs via this in-kind tax-free Bitcoin transfers. So for the first time now in the last few months, if you hold spot Bitcoin, you can effectively transfer it and get BlackRock IBIT shares without taking the tax hit. And of course, that's a decision that everyone will have to go through who's been self-custodying Bitcoin for some time. And there are trade-offs there, right? The whole not your keys, not your crypto. But at the same time, there are certainly benefits. Portfolio line of credit, collateral, estate plan. They name these are the big three. And then I guess security's in there too.
Security's right? Definitely in there.
Arguably number one, I think, for most folks.
Convenience. I mean, I think all five that are listed here, or whatever, however many pros, are spot on. You pasted this to me before the show. I didn't realize, I guess, that this had taken place in July. This is attractive to me as a somebody who's moving around quite a bit, somebody who wants to maintain access to Bitcoin that I've been holding for a while, and feel a little better about it. The whole custody stuff, the not your keys, not your coin, totally understand it. I'm not far enough down that curve, or whatever side of the curve you want to call that. I'm not far enough to either one of those poles where I am totally in line with that argument that I would rather BlackRock hold my Bitcoin, to be quite honest. Yeah.
I personally like a mix, and I definitely see the draw to have custody cold storage Bitcoin if you feel comfortable securing it. But there's also some real upside to ETFs, like we just mentioned. And I think the takeaway from this, I do think this is net bullish, right? It's not like massively bullish, but this does alleviate some sell pressure.
I think it's net bullish for sure, because I think you have a lot of people who didn't participate because of the concerns, or if you were on the edge of participating as a wherever you are in the net worth spectrum, but you were concerned about custodying coins, you're concerned about security, scam, etc. How is this not a huge benefit to you? To just, yep, okay, take it. You know what I mean? I feel like, again, I'm obviously more crypto savvy than the average person, so custodying my own coins isn't as daunting as it would be for my high school friend or whatever who doesn't own any Bitcoin at this point in time. But getting the average person, I mean, this has got to be the path forward. Has to be. It absolutely has to be.
A lot of upside, and with these types of utility, it does alleviate the need to sell some of your coins. So I like that aspect of it. Let's move down the list here. We got to talk about arguably the biggest story of the day, maybe of the week. Coinbase has acquired Kobe's Echo. I've got the comment here from Brian Armstrong up. On-chain capital formation, vital, unique part of the crypto ecosystem. Excited to be adding Echo and Sonar to Coinbase to give our customers new token access opportunities. They have a full write-up on their site. You can dig into the deal. $375 million is the approximate size of the deal. So pretty substantial here. They said their why is pretty simple. We want to create more accessible, efficient, and transparent capital markets. They talk about how Echo solves this. and then kind of go into what folks should expect. So for builders, easier access to capital and community-aligned fundraising tools. For investors, new differentiated opportunities that were previously out of reach for the on-chain economy. More efficient, transparent, and globally accessible capital markets. Curious, Logan, just high level, what were your reactions to
I think this is
big news?
Yeah, I think this is awesome. I think the launch of Echo, I think, was widely appreciated. Part of the allure of the whole internet capital markets thing is just decentralizing opportunity to investment types and vehicles that previously weren't accessible for many folks. So that's a super appealing and attractive thing. This just further legitimizes that this is going to be a trend that probably accelerates, right? Like there are still going to be rules and regulations in place, which are great to have. Like they're there for a reason. You can fight how far those things need to be regulated, whatever. But just legitimizing this as a move forward to continue to allow people, both from the investor perspective, but also from the builder perspective, to gain access to capital and to gain access to investments, different investment opportunities. This is awesome. So totally salute Coinbase doing that. I know as a brand, we've talked about this, as a brand, crypto natives, in some cases rightfully have a gripe with Coinbase, the whole data leak stuff. But the last 24 hours feel like they've done a pretty good job, perhaps, in appealing to crypto natives, at least those of us who are stuck on the crypto Twitter bubble, and maybe repaired a little bit of that goodwill that perhaps had been damaged.
Yeah, is Coinbase the biggest winner? Like, who's the biggest winner of this? Kobe.
Yeah.
Maybe you can argue ledger status with his $12.5 million cut.
Of course, from an individual perspective, those two just did super well. That's a pretty fantastic 24-hour return, although I'm sure this has been in the works for quite some time. So, but Coinbase feels like a big victor here. That's why actually I was a little when I pulled up the Coinbase stock this morning, I was actually a little shocked that it was down. I mean, it's down moderately, 1.5%, whatever. Maybe it just doesn't matter enough. Maybe, you just have the macro stuff that's, playing a role in dampening today's move. Well, you said the indices are down a little bit as well. So whatever. I think this is a win. Yeah, I really do. And I'm talking about the Echo and Sonar acquisition specifically. I do think the up only thing is really fantastic as well, but it's a separate conversation. It just
we'll get into that.
Yeah.
I was trying to find the tweet. I believe it was Coinbase's chief legal officer, and I'm blanking on his name. I thought it was Grewal.
It's Paul Grewal.
Well, I'm not finding him on Twitter.
Grewal. He might be like Grewal.eth or something on here. I'll see if I can.
Yeah, if you can find it. But basically, he was saying this is their 8th acquisition this year. I didn't realize they had done that much. So that's pretty significant. And the reason why I think that's important is it's showing Coinbase's desire to keep expanding their business, their core business, getting new products, new verticals. And I've been a Coinbase bear on this show over the course of the past year or so, largely as I've laid out the thesis that traditional banks will come in and steal some of the SEX model. Citibank is going to be custodying crypto in 2026. Why is a Citibank Bitcoin holder going to hold it on Coinbase versus Citi? I don't think they will. But now Coinbase is opening up new products, new arms of the business. And on-chain capital formation, decentralized, anyone can participate. You do have to pass KYC for some of the deals. You have to be accredited, I believe, as well. So it's not just anyone, but anyone who meets that criteria gets access to these deals. I think it's one of the coolest things about crypto. And Coinbase clearly sees that as well. So I think this is a huge pickup for them.
Yeah, I just I dropped you, Tyler. It's at I am Paul Grewal. if you just want to type in the at or look for the at.
Nikita Beer, if you're listening, I was searching Paul Grewal and I can't find his account. It seems like an X problem.
I also couldn't find it. I had to do quite a bit of scrolling. Yeah, I'm totally with you. I think this is awesome. And this was one of the exciting things for me as a crypto participant as well. Like, one of my favorite things ever is finding the protocols, the projects at the ground floor and participating in them, right? And then kind of watching them rise. And you swing and miss on a lot. But it's that fun, and this was the fun thing about early Top Shot for me was like the rookie card investment. That's the whole like VC fun thing, isn't it? And having more opportunities like that for folks in crypto, I think is, and beyond, is super exciting. Yeah.
Do you think this hurts Kobe's brand value in any way?
No.
Selling out to Coinbase?
No, I don't think so at all. If you can sell your company for $400 million or $375 million or whatever, no, I don't think so. And I know maybe I've been a little bit different than most crypto participants, which again have that negative taste in their mouth about Coinbase. Coinbase is still, in my opinion, one of our best chances at like neatly aligning with the political narratives. Say what you will about the lobby and how much money was spent, etc. But it's one of the best brands we have in this space, and it's a space that's been mired, sometimes fairly, sometimes unfairly, with scam accusations. Right? This is one of our best bets to fight that narrative and to do so at the highest levels. And so you need brands like Coinbase that are hopefully doing everything the right way and are fighting in the best interest of keeping this industry alive. So I don't own any shares of Coinbase or anything like that, although it's not in the S&P 500, is it? Maybe it did get added to it, didn't. I may have some exposure to Coinbase. I don't believe I do. So I'm not earning anything for saying that, but I'm team Coinbase, and I don't think this affects Kobe negatively in any way.
Coinbase is in the S&P.
Okay. So I have some exposure to Coinbase through the indices. Full disclosure, but
I agree with your point. And they've been fighting the good fight, and we need someone to do that, especially under the Biden administration, right? So I think a lot of the change can be accredited to them. I think on the other side, you still have millions of users who had their data lost and who have been dealing with,
of course,
daily texts and scams, right? So there is that aspect of it as well. And which is why I think Coinbase's brand value on CT specifically has been a little lower. But
right. Yeah. And all that stuff's fair. That stuff is totally fair. They should be knocked for that. But there's a lot of other stuff. You gotta just pro and con list, right? From the top down. We gotta go back to the basics. And there are a lot of pros for Coinbase in this industry. So I've been subject to those spam calls and texts as well, but still team Coinbase over here.
So objective of you, Logan. So I want to talk about arguably the more fun aspect of this announcement, which is the news we got last night. They buried the lead, but the news that we got last night was Kobe's Up Only NFT had been purchased for $25 million by Coinbase, which basically meant that Coinbase could redeem it for 8 episodes of the Up Only stream, meaning Kobe and Ledger Status would be coming back. Now, of course, we've learned that's a part of a bigger deal. I think it all makes a little bit more sense now, seeing the bigger picture. But still huge news. I think there's a lot of folks more excited about the Up Only coming back than they are about the Echo being now owned by Coinbase. So rate your excitement levels.
I'm pretty excited. I'm pretty excited. And I would say I'm in that camp, Tyler, of folks more excited. Echo is doing just fine. Of course, Coinbase opens it up to a lot of new opportunities. Like I said, this is super exciting as somebody who has been around for a while, but in and out, right? Like I was here very briefly in 2018 and washed out with the bear market and came back in late 2020, early 2021 and all that stuff. And when you're looking to voices, which provided more than one opinion, Up Only was a great place to get that, right? Like, they brought people on, they talked about both the good and the bad, in my opinion. And so it is, as you look back, it is a great way to romanticize those previous cycles. And I totally understand why people are super excited, because I'm just as excited about having the opportunity to listen to these guys once more. Hopefully the guests they sort out. I love some of the back and forth about and suggestions from others about who should be the guests. Right, I believe on the NFT itself it says they retain the right to choose the guests, but we may let them, the purchaser influence if they like them. Yeah, exactly. Down at the bottom there. So I'm excited to see who and when. Hopefully soon. I think I saw Kobe say today they wouldn't release one until they have the guests figured out.
Okay. So that's probably market's down. I was just showing that. So it's only 21% to go live in October.
Yeah.
On Poly Market, but it's a very thin market.
Yeah, it seems like a lot to probably figure out in the next 10 days. And get everybody back in the swing of things and get ready. Plus, well, I don't know. I would be betting no by October 31st if I were making a wager on that. I've not, but I would be betting no. But I thought this was really interesting. This was fun because not only was Kobe sort of thinking about who would make sense to chat about, but also others were chiming in with who makes sense to talk about. I really like the Vlad Robinhood one. I think Robinhood, and this is a disclosure, I do own shares in Robinhood, but I think Robinhood has been a really important part of this last cycle and has certainly made, I think no bones about it, a commitment to crypto. I don't think there's any denying that at this point in time. So that would be an awesome one just to learn a little bit more. And I think one of my favorite parts about Kobe is he just he cuts through the bullshit. And for a lot of us who may not be as technically proficient or may not know as much about the inside tracks and deals and personalities and personas, he does a good job of calling out or, just cutting through what makes sense and what doesn't. And I think that's really important because a lot of big names in this space might be a little bit of fluff, and having somebody who can kind of iron out that fluff is really nice. So I'm excited. I'm excited to see who they get on.
Yeah, you're able to cut through a little bit more when you've been around for a decade. You've seen the industry transform and you've been through 3 or 4 cycles, right? So it's perspective that not everyone can bring, right? Pretty unique perspective. I do want to talk about guests. So it seems like Hyperliquid is definitely a shoe-in. So Jeff will be on. It seems like there's going to be a prediction market show. So Shane Copeland, the heavy favorite, I think, to be featured there. We'll see if they do Tarek. They go to some additional markets like Myriad. Maybe Fro can get his way in the door. Robinhood would be interesting. Alan, I think there's got to be a pump fund show.
That would be a really great one.
That's 4. I think that's 4 pretty good shows. I've been struggling a little bit from there.
Yeah.
I think a lot of folks.
Yeah. It's difficult for me because the macro side of things is just it's not my wheelhouse. So you see hear about Arthur Hayes and some others. I'm sure there's some folks that are fantastic personalities, the smartest people you don't know, running Twitter accounts that you don't realize that, Kobe does know and could potentially land to talk about macro, to talk about, I know it sounds boring from our perspective, but you talk about cutting through the noise. One thing that would be helpful for me, the regulatory stuff, what actually is going on in Washington? Does it actually matter? Is this all theater? What happens post Trump? Maybe we're not, or maybe we're too early, sorry, I should say, into this term to be able to answer some of those things, but it would be helpful to know the people who are on the ground fighting, we're just talking about Coinbase fighting and lobbying for the good of this industry. It would be nice to hear about a little bit of that.
Well, what about this? I thought just popped in my head, and you triggered it with your DC comments. Eric Trump.
I'm sure they could do that.
One of the KOLs, one of the leading. The refrain on crypto Twitter is this cycle's main characters aren't as interesting as last. There's some interesting ones out there.
here's
Like,
what I would say.
Frozen Sun telling people to when to buy ETH.
Yeah. I don't need to hear Eric. I would be more interested in hearing Baron, quite
Oh
honestly, if
man,
they could make that
the
happen.
Trump up only show probably breaks their records.
Yeah, I think that would be the most remarkable guest they could get from inside DC right now if they could. Eric has been, I think, the most outspoken member of the family. So I've covered a few of his talks at some of these conferences and stuff like that. It's not to suggest that it's not interesting, or that it wouldn't be like an episode to tune into. Maybe I just feel like I've heard all I need to hear from him. I don't know.
Well, I'm picturing like Kobe like cutting through the bullshit, being like, "You guys are just doing all this to yourselves." Like, what?
Well, but I'm sorry, Tyler. My concern there is that I think Eric is probably, as adeptly skilled at deflecting all that stuff that you don't get the good stuff, right? Like you don't get the. And is it worth the headache for these guys? 8 episodes. I mean, we got to be good. We only have 8 episodes. This is a limited run. I don't know if you want to waste one. That sounds harsh to say waste, but
I mean, a Baron Trump show is not a wasted show.
No, a Baron Trump one would not be. That would be fantastic.
I'm tuning into that before the Arthur Hayes. Like Arthur Hayes, and I enjoy his essays, but I feel like I know what he's gonna say. Like he puts his thoughts out there more than almost anyone else. And I know he's got a very interesting story, and that would be an interesting story to folks. I'm trying to think of others. Like Paolo would be, from Tether would be interesting, but like also like, are you really gonna drop what you're doing to listen to him?
Yeah. I think it's difficult because the bubble that I like to live in, the sort of on-chain trenchy bubble, and this is no knock to any of the founders or people working on projects there, but I think unfortunately there is a cloud of fraudulence that sits on top of it as a result of all the scammy meme coins, etc. And so it's difficult, I think, to warrant like an entire show to like one particular project or one particular protocol, like in the trench level stuff. So beyond what has been shared here, some of these, bigger picture people, it is difficult to come up with one. Like I saw a suggestion to have Raynatic on to talk about NFT strategies. And I think that's an interesting suggestion. I don't know that it warrants its own show. You know what I mean? It would have to be as part of a multi-guest thing. And that sounds harsh, but
Dip Wheeler was in there. Dip Wheeler was in the running 6 months ago when Fartcoin was over $1. Fartcoin at 36 cents. The Dip Wheeler show is not quite as good.
Yeah,
which is sad because I think he could have been a great guest. And I think at one point Kobe alluded to if they came back, Dip Wheeler would be the first guest.
I saw Kobe's tweet about having Rasmer on 8 times.
Yeah, that's an incredible tweet.
Rasmer would actually be a really interesting. I like Rasmer.
That would be a good show if he has Rasmer and Thread Guy and just talks about like younger generation, like what the hell are they thinking?
Yeah, my fear with those would be the substance. Like how much substance can you really pull? The energy levels would be off the charts. That would be great, but what am I going to get out of that show? I don't know. So, but it would be fun nonetheless.
Well, it's fun to think about. And I'm sure we will talk about it more on this show. I want to talk a little bit about how to trade it. So I think a lot of folks' first thoughts was Zora. So Zora's up 16%. Today it's back over $1 billion. Now, granted, it's been pumping and selling off quite a bit over the last few days. So not sure if this is necessarily just tied to the up only announcement or not. Like what's your read? Do you think they are going to stream on Zora, or do you think they'll stream on their own platform?
I don't think they'll stream on Zora. I don't see that happening. One of the things that I'm pretty convicted on about this whole thing is that there's no way Kobe was like selling out to like have any financial thing tied to the return of up only. Of course there's these like unaffiliated meme coins, you can't stop that type of stuff, but there's no way. I just don't see that happening. Now maybe they do something where they could stream on Zora without the financial equivalent of a token. I don't know. Maybe I'm talking myself into the fact that they could do a token.
I don't think they're going to do a token. I would be shocked if they did a token. I would be totally shocked.
Well, yeah, but if you stream on Zora, that's like the whole thing. Is like
that's why I don't think they will.
Right. Well, that initially that is my take, but I'm like,
Yeah.
how much? Like $400 million, $375 million? Like, you wouldn't really do that, right? Like, I don't think so, because I don't actually know Kobe's thoughts about creator capital markets, which would be interesting.
No reason for him to do a show with Rasmer, right there.
Exactly. Right.
He can dig into it.
I don't know his thoughts, but I'm suspecting that he is skeptical of it. That is my suspicion.
Yeah, most likely. I think skeptical is the correct reaction in general to most meme coin trends. I've got the up only ETH token. This one's on base. The Degenz ran this up to about 9 million last night. Now it's already sold off to 2 million.
All the Kobe coins. I saw the racist dolphin one. I saw the ball sack one.
Yeah, because ball sack has like some lore, as it was an early one that he talked about or something.
Some tweet about like ball sack coin doesn't matter or something.
Yeah, it looks like this up only Solana token is at 380K. I mean, just we haven't really talked about memes that much, and you and I both spent some time in the trenches. I mean, when you look at this and you see these charts, like, why are you playing this game? Like, are you playing this game? Are you still actively trading?
I just redeposited on FOMO literally last night.
Wow.
So I've been trading on FOMO for a while now, the mobile app, maybe like a couple months, right? Just because I don't have any significant portion of funds there. And I was traveling quite a bit, and one of our mutual friends uses it. So I just used his referral, I think, and, had been trading on it. And now they've actually added like BSC or, BNB chain, Base, Solana is all there. And I'm starting to see like Frank the Gods is trading actively on FOMO. Other people are starting to actively trade on FOMO. And this isn't a promotion for FOMO, but the reason
I'm not mad for FOMO.
No, it's not. But
FOMO out. We do need to line up. Why are we not partnered with Try FOMO?
But the reason
our sales guy on the horn here.
But the reason I've been using it is the fact that you can do all three of those right there. And I know a lot of the wallets allow for the same sort of thing. Like Rabby, for example, that's when I was first buying BNB memes. You could do you could do BNB plus Base or Ethereum mainnet all in one wallet. Easy, simple. You couldn't, at least not to my knowledge, there's no like uncheck for Solana there. This is, I don't know how many others. I'm sure there are others. Some of the advanced trading platforms, maybe Axiom, etc. I'm not a key user, so I don't actually know. But like, I don't know how many others offer you the opportunity to buy from all three of those chains in one spot. And I do really like. I don't have as much time to trench as I previously did. I'm not there as often, perhaps, as I'd like to be. And so I am more often than not a copy trader. And I do like the social aspect. And I'm seeing some people be active again. And it's when you see Frank the Gods bought 13 different tokens in the last hour and his profit was like $250,000 in the last week, you're kind of like, okay, maybe I'll buy a token after Frank buys it and try to get out before somebody else.
The whole mess we got ourselves into last.
I know.
Right? And everyone had their pitchforks out because Frank had copy traders and he was selling. It's like, oh, he's just dumping on his copy traders. And now you're pitching the case for why you should copy trade Frank. And I get it. I get it.
No, I'm not pitching the case for why you should copy trade Frank. I don't mean to. I like the ability, the discovery of being able to see who's buying what, because I don't have the time to discover them myself right now, or at least I'm not putting in the effort to discover it myself. And I do like that social perspective. One of the things, it did probably sound like a promotion for copy trading Frank, because I'm sort of doing it right now. Only do it if you know what you're getting into. Like, if you know you're going to get dumped on, if you know that the odds of the token going up, because the trenches right now are horrible. The odds of the token going up are abysmal, absolutely abysmal. If you're okay with that, it's fine. Totally fine.
Yeah. Putting the copy trading discussion, that's a longer conversation. I like what FOMO is doing. I've used the app. It is very user-friendly. I do like the social aspect of it. The leaderboard is fun. It's very easy. A couple clicks, you're trading. I haven't like analyzed slippage and all that, so I don't know like if I'm getting ripped off or not. But when I'm buying a few $100s of a micro cap, I don't really care because my targets are so high at that point that I'm not like analyzing slippage percentages. The fact that you can trade across multiple chains is great because we know how hard it is to bridge it across, and it's a pain. But what I will say, and this is more commentary on the market, is I deposited $1,000, $1,500 to my FOMO app. Now it's at zero. I traded 5 coins. I didn't rotate fast enough. So, and the thing is, some of those were winners, but I just didn't cut them fast enough.
Yeah.
And we are once again in the hyper rotation, pretty rough meme market. So
yeah,
I like FOMO. I don't like the market.
Yeah, the market's terrible. The market's terrible. You're right. So I bought one. Like I bought a coin last night. I don't even remember the name of the coin because I'm getting so many notifications. I need to call my notification stuff. But I just bought one, set it down. Was watching the game 7, with my family. Checked like an inning or two later. It was up. Didn't sell. Put my phone back down. Checked an inning or two later. Down 60%.
Yeah.
That's the market. So it's not that fun.
You know what is not down 60% in an hour is Tibber. And I tweeted this one out this morning. And like once again, like everyone's asking, what the hell is Tibber? I think Mando even asked this. I saw like he was in a replying to a post, maybe by Dees or someone else. No one knows what this thing is, but here we have it in a terrible, terrible meme market. It's just grinding to new all-time highs. Like other than maybe useless, I think it's higher than useless now. I'll double check if it's considered a meme because you can make the case that it's slightly different. I mean, this is arguably the best chart in all the memes for ones that have been around for a while. Hell, it's about to flip Farcoin. I think Farcoin's 38 cents. It's Tibber season. Do you know what this is? Are you in on the Tibber hype?
I could not give you a thesis for Tibber. I was looking for a thesis for Tibber. I got to the virtuals page. I think I sent you a screenshot earlier today. All it says is something about like the blend of fintech and crypto, becoming more mainstream. And then you like look at the other content thing and it says no data or whatever. And then you look at the roadmap and it says no data. And then you scroll through these automated Twitter accounts and there's not a whole lot to glean from it. So no, I don't have a key thesis on Tibber, but I sort of appreciate the mystery. I definitely do.
It is mystery. It is still a lot of speculation, largely because the core thesis has not been confirmed, and it is speculation. So take all this with a grain of salt. But the core thesis, as I understand it, and I am a holder, so just closing that, that Mickey Malka is the billionaire who owns Punks. He is also behind REKT Capital, which invests across crypto, across fintech. And the speculation is he's building a new age crypto fintech AI company protocol. We don't know exactly what it is, but he's building in that space. And that Tibber is the coin behind it.
So
it has ties to Mickey Malka, has ties to REKT Capital. It's got this AI agent who tweets for it, who bought a punk.
Yeah.
I think using Tibber fees. I forget the story. I had to go back and look at that.
So when I was scrolling through the replies and stuff, just like trying to, I just literally typed in the Tibber tag in Twitter and I was searching and like trying to understand why, like what's going on here. I saw, of course, many links to the REKT Capital stuff. You astutely pointed out that Tibber is Ribbit spelled backwards. But as you go, somebody had linked from REKT Capital. It's one of its latest, I believe its latest like big investment theses documents, PDF. It's like 46 pages and it's called like the token letter or something. I control F'd it real quick to see if there's any mention of Tibber. There is not. Perhaps I did that incorrectly, but I didn't see mention of Tibber. I, of course, didn't have time or the energy to read 46 pages on the token thesis. But it makes sense to me if they are putting a lot of time, focus, and energy behind investing in and or considering and thinking about token generation, that it would have stealth launched or could have stealth launched some token. And doing so with an agent like this is probably the best way to do like a hands-off-ish token launch, and to stay out of its way, more or less. So I could see it.
It's an interesting one. If you want to learn more, go follow the Altcoinist. Altcoinist_com. That's how I learned about it. He has written essays on X about the token and his thoughts, and tried to do deep dive to put together the pieces. So again, take all this with a grain of salt that the speculation has not been confirmed yet, but there's something to this. It sure seems that way. The token is making new all-time highs by the day. So if you haven't been paying attention, maybe now is the time to start. Folks, well, I'm being told Zcash is moving to keep the stream going. Is that the case? Let's Zcash 282. How about that? Privacy season is in full swing. Notably, I will pump one of my MYRIAD bags. I did bet on Zcash to hit 300 before November. We're less than 10% away. So it's 72%. So you can chop a nice, what is that? It's like 30%, still a 30% gain on like a 7% move in Zcash, and you've got 10 days. I like my side. Like my side on this one. This thing might resolve here later today. So go check out that market if you're interested. 284. We are pumping. We might have to keep the stream going. Yonder V1. Thank you for your comment. 112K Bitcoin never felt so good. Have we been missing this pump? Wow, Logan, we have to quickly go through the board. Oh my goodness. Bitcoin 112. We were at 109 when we started the show. When I woke up at 5:30 this morning, it was 107.5. So something's going on. So this is the highest we've really hit since, I guess, 5 days ago. So, okay, so we did get into the 113s last week. ETH back over 4K, sold 192. All right, a little bit of excitement here. Maybe turnaround Tuesday in store for us, folks. We will certainly see. But we are going to go ahead and wrap up today's show. I got to let Logan get back to the desk. I want to thank all of our listeners for tuning in. I want to thank our partner. I want to thank Logan for filling in today. I think he's going to be back with us here tomorrow. Until then, folks, go make it a beautiful day.